guys, I'm Wes, Neverboard Gaming, and this is my current top 10 favorite games. Number 10, Summoner Wars. I have a confession to make. I don't like deck building before a game. I don't. It's why Magic isn't on here. It's why LCGs aren't on here. I don't like spending a lot of time before I play a game, like at home, just trying to build a better deck. I mean, there's people that like that. It's great. It's just not my favorite. I'd rather be handed a deck and say, this is what this deck does, go have fun. And I think Summoner Wars does that phenomenally. Again, there's just so many decks available. I mean, there's so many expansions in the Master Set, and I really think you can play for so many games with different combinations. And it's not just every deck is different, every combination of decks plays differently with each other. And I think that just makes for a phenomenal game. And it's almost like a miniatures game, but it's a card game, so I feel like it fits into my favorite card game because it's almost a miniatures game. Anyway, Summoner Wars, number 10. My number 9 is Lords of Waterdeep. I've had this game for a long time. When I was first getting into board gaming, I went to my game store and said, I like this game, what should I try? And the guy was like, here, Lords of Waterdeep, we play this game all the time. Love it. It was one of the best things I ever did. It is my gateway into Eurogaming. I don't love Eurogaming. I don't mind it. I'll play Catan. I'll play Ticket to Ride every once in a while if I have to. Oh, you remember Eurogame stuff?
Yeah, Ticket to Ride. I'd Ticket to Ride. Okay.
Anyway, Eurogames aren't my favorite. However, Lords of Waterdeep is phenomenal. I think that they put so many good thematics into the game. That's one of the things I don't like about Eurogames. I feel like you could strip the theme off completely and it's the exact same game. Lords of Waterdeep isn't. I really feel like I'm controlling all these people in a D&D game and I'm recruiting them to go off on this mission for me and I get stuff for it. And I love that there's cards that say like, oh hey, you do this and you're going to get this benefit and you have to pick one of your opponents to get a minor benefit. I love that aspect because it's so much of like, hey, you have to team up with this people and you're both going to get a benefit. You have to pick who do I want to give the benefit to. And it can be who do I want to help me on later or who do I want to help the least. It has enough cutthroat of like how you can pick people. There are attack cards. There's mandatory quests. If someone's spent 6 turns trying to get like 15 white little cubes and you place mandatory quest that causes them to play 3 white cubes, they just get so angry. So even though there's not a lot of play interaction, there's just enough that I just think it's such a well-designed game. My next game, it's kind of similar to Battlelore, or to some. It is Battlelore.
It's very similar to Battlelore.
It's similar to Summoner Wars, if Summoner Wars had miniatures. It's just such a great 1v1 miniatures game. You set up your map, you each pick how your side of the board is going to be set up, and you just take your army and you go attack their army. I like there's multiple objectives, there's multiple ways to get victory points. You can just go to kill everyone, you could go like super defense and turtle and just try to get these victory points. There's a lot of games like it, Memoir 44 is incredibly similar. Tide of Iron is kind of like Memoir 44 but bigger. I think Battlelore it's a great version of it, and the thematics get to me. I would much rather play like fantasy Terranoth kind of stuff than, actual like realistic military fighting. There's nothing wrong with that. I like those games, but I'd rather play with dragons and orcs and elves than people.
And actually, we haven't even played with any of the expansion armies yet. We've only just played base game.
Yeah, even base game. It's on my top 10. I cannot wait to get some of the expansion. I can't wait for you to get some of the expansion armies.
When you buy those, I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of games that you own and I don't, Dead of Winter is number 7.
Yeah.
I probably will buy this game, especially because the standalone expansion is coming out soon.
The Long Night?
Long Night, yeah. Phenomenal. I love co-op games. The one thing I love more than a co-op game is a co-op game where someone might be betraying you. I love the suspicion. I just think there's so much accusation and stress. And you break down friendships playing these games, and I love that.
I don't think there's that much accusation because it's always Aaron. Every time. It's always him. So.
I can't say that even though it's always Aaron, I always think it's Tom.
Yeah.
It helps that we're brother-in-laws.
Brother We're just brothers.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're naturally just gonna go after each other. And this game lets you do that because not only is there a betrayer that is doing suspicious things, but every character has their own objective that doesn't necessarily line up with the main game. And if you're playing as a good character, you need to do both of those. But a lot of times it makes you suspicious because you're like, I should do this for the group, but I need to do this for me. I'm going to do this thing for me and hope someone else does it for the group. And then everyone thinks that you're the betrayer, even though you're not. And you can try and try and try to tell me that you're not the betrayer, that Aaron's the betrayer. Sorry. Flashbacks going on. Anyway, phenomenal game. We get really into it. And honestly, of all the zombie games I've played, this one feels the most like I'm actually trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. Most of them is just like, you have a really good character, and there's 1,000 not so good characters, and they're all attacking you. Beat them all. This one is really like strategy and supplies, and you're like, don't necessarily want to go attack zombies unless you have to. You try to hide and defend, and then it's like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere, we have to attack them. Speaking of hidden betrayer games, my number 6 game is The Resistance. Love The Resistance. We play this game all the time. It's a great social deduction game. It's a great game to teach new people to. I feel like most people can get a grasp of the game. I love Resistance Avalon too. It's another great skin. It's a couple more characters. I feel like the theme of Avalon doesn't stick as well as the theme of the Resistance does. I feel like giving people guns and going on missions to fight against this, corrupt government fits that game more than we're all knights and here's a shield and take your pebble. It's the exact same thing, but I think the skin is better on Resistance. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but Avalon has all of those extra characters and you can mix the game up. We'd play the exact same thing with Resistance and just say, hey, the bald white guy, he's going to be Merlin. Hey, that guy is that guy. I don't remember.
The assassin.
The assassin. Exactly.
Yeah.
Phenomenal game. Another just very cutthroat. We yell and we holler and...
That's another one where we're always at each other's
We are always at each other. So even when we're on the same team, I feel like we're...
It works. It works.
It works. Phenomenal game. And I'm actually kind of sticking to a trend because my next game, well, they kind of go back and forth. Betrayal at the House of Hill and Mansions of Madness are my number 5 and number 4 spots. Betrayal has that hidden betrayer, but you don't know that they're the betrayer. They don't even know they're the betrayer until everyone finds out. And I think that's really cool, unless the person you're teaching it to is the betrayer, and then it might not go so well. But my wife was a betrayer on her first game, and she kicked our butts, so love you. You're awesome. But they're both just, people are going into this house, they're exploring, they're finding things, and they're finding good things, and they're finding bad things, and then this mystery unfolds, and they have such a thematic story that every time I feel like I'm watching a bad sci-fi movie, which I love. So a good sci-fi movie. But yeah, it's just the story's unfolding. Mansions is a little bit higher for me, just because it's more in-depth, it's more involved. You have the person who knows they're the bad guy, and they get to set the house up, and they get to hide traps for you, and they get to figure out, I want them to go here and then there, and they really get to, manipulate the board. And it's a game where the one person, the keeper, the person who's against everyone else, they really get to manipulate the game, and they get to try to mess with people. And it's not just killing them, but it's tricking them and making them second guess themselves. And I don't think this is going to ruin anything, but there is actually a story in Mansions where you can make a betrayer amongst the good guys, and that game was wild. Not only do you have this guy coming against you, but then you can't even trust your own teammates.
Yeah.
We lost that game because I trusted my best friend. And at the very last second, I'm like, you take that thing, and you go right there, and we win. And he looked at me and ran the other way. You know who you are. Number 3, Pandemic. Fully co-op game. And this is, you may not all agree with me, I think Pandemic is the best truly co-op game ever. I think that it just works phenomenally thematically. I think that just the fact that you're all fighting diseases and the world's becoming overrun and you have to go here and go here and go here and fight these different diseases and figure out whose ability is best to go here. And there is no like trump character. There is no, well, if I play as this and you play as this, we're gonna win. Because the game is just constantly against you. And there are some games that it's impossible to win. I've lost Pandemic on the 5th player turn. And we couldn't have won that. But it's still such a fun game. Because even after that, and I was teaching new people, they immediately said, we're doing this again. Because it's a game that challenges you enough and it's hard enough to get you like riled up, but it doesn't crush you to where you feel like I'll never win this game. It just motivates you to say, I have to win this game. And I love that there's different levels of difficulty. You can put in 4 epidemics. You can put in 6 epidemics. Just depending on who you're playing with and how hard you want the game to be. Also, I have to say that Pandemic is my wife's favorite game. And honestly, my wife is not a hardcore board gamer. She doesn't want to play games every night. But I found a game. We found a game that she likes and she's excited to play and she actually wants to play. And it has to be up there because any game I can play with my wife and we can have a good time and we're not going at it and we can feel like we're a team. Really, that's a phenomenal game. And board games are all about bringing people together. It's not just about attacking and winning and strategy. At least for me, it's not. It's about the community and the relationships and the fact that we're all doing this thing and it's nerdy and it's fun. But at the end of the day, you have all these great friends that you've bonded over these games for. And I think Pandemic does a phenomenal job of bringing people together.
Phenomenal is your favorite word.
It's a phenomenal word.
It is.
Yeah.
So, my next game, number 2, is Star Wars X-Wing.
Yes.
I have 3 reasons why I like this game. Number 1, Star Wars. Number 2, Star Wars. Number 3, you guessed it, you get to pilot the Millennium Falcon. I don't think I need to talk about anything else. But don't worry, I will. X-Wing is my miniature war game. I don't have the time or money to, spend thousands of dollars to create an army. However, I can find the time and money to buy thousands of X-Wing ships. I'll admit, anything Star Wars is going to knock up a few notches for me just because I've been watching Star Wars since I can't remember my first time watching Star Wars. It's kind of a sad thought for me, but still phenomenal. Phenomenal, there we go again.
Yeah.
I just think it's great that you get to build your little fleet and skirmish against each other. I really feel like I'm playing Battlefront on my old Xbox. And we're dogfighting, we're skirmishing, we're flying all around, and you're piloting the Millennium Falcon and you feel awesome.
Asteroids.
I hate asteroids. He likes them. I hate them. And there's so much thematics to it. You feel like, oh my gosh, that's Darth Vader. Like, he's going to take my people out. And the Millennium Falcon is swinging in. Oh, Chewbacca's piloting it, so this happens. It captures the feel of space fighting in Star Wars so well. And there's a couple other games that are very similar to X-Wing, and they just don't compare because Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, my number 1 favorite game, Imperial Assault.
Is it because you've played the campaign so many times?
Alright, so...
He hasn't played the campaign.
I haven't played a full campaign yet. However, I've played Descent so many times, and I really feel like Fantasy Flight was just like, oh, you like Descent? Yeah? You like it? You like Star Wars? Guess what? Descent Star Wars Edition! And honestly, before Imperial Assault came out, Descent was my number 1 favorite game, and then they made a Star Wars version, and now it's my favorite game. Descent didn't make it to my list just because I feel like it's so interchangeable with Imperial Assault. I don't think they're different games. I think they're just different. They're like alternate realities of the same game. It's just...
If they never came out with Imperial Assault, would Descent be your number 1?
Absolutely.
Right.
I think Descent would be my number 1. But they did come out with Imperial Assault.
They did.
And now it's my favorite game. But it really has. It has the co-op. You have your team of guys playing together. And if you want to play a co-op game, it's a great co-op game. You're working together. You each have, each of the characters have different strengths. And this guy's going to run in and he's going to get up super close and hit people with his lightsaber and shoot people with his blaster. And this guy's going to stay back and snipe. And it's great. Or if you don't want to play co-op, you can play as the Empire or in Descent the Overlord. And you're just this almighty character controlling a horde of guys, and you have a couple like really good heroes coming at you, and you just overwhelm them, and you play cards against them, and you have Darth Vader, and you force choke them across the board, and they're defenseless against it. And I really feel like it is such a good job making you feel like you're this all-powerful empire. And even if you lose, I mean, that thematically works because there was an all-powerful empire, and then these little rebels, and they stood up against the empire, and the empire was like, just go watch Star Wars. But yeah, it's great. One thing that Imperial Assault has that Descent doesn't is the skirmish mode. And I have played the skirmish mode quite a few times, so I really did get a feel for how the characters play a little bit differently in Descent. You know, there's a lot more shooting and guns in Star Wars than there is the bows and arrows in Descent, which as typically as there should be. There's still a lot of melee, and the melee is still powerful. It's not like, well, I have a gun and I'm going to shoot you from across the board and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's great that you can play it as a 1v1 game, and it's not like, well, you control all of the good guys and I'll control the Overlord, and we'll just play like there's 4 of us, but you play all 4 characters. It's a very much more balanced, you know, you have your points, similar to X-Wing, where you buy who you're playing as, and then you guys throw against each other. And even in the Return to Hoth expansion, they released the 4-way free-for-all and the 2v2 that just look awesome. Number 1 favorite game, Imperial Assault. Top 2 games, Star Wars. I mean, I can't say it enough, you know. You put a Star Wars game out, I'm going to play it, I'm probably going to like it, I'll definitely buy it. But yeah, that was my top 10 games of I don't want to say all time, because I'll probably remake this at some point, my top 10 favorite games as of right now. Go ahead and check out these guys' top favorite games. And while you're at it, check out some of our other videos. Put some comments down in the section below. Let me know what you thought of my top 10. If you disagree with me, if you think Star Wars isn't the best of all time, I will fight you on that. You know, while you're there, go ahead and like this video, and go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.